Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another Flex University event. My name is Josh Graham. I am the supervisor for our group sales consultants here with Flexible Benefit. And today we are going to be talking about a way for you to really grow your sales in a bunch of different areas within our organization, whether that be through Medicare, individual, or group insurance. Obviously, there's a lot that's happening in our marketplace right now, and there's a lot that's going to continue to happen as we get into the elections, but really knowing what else is available to you within the Flex organization is the goal of this particular webinar presentation today. Just a brief overview of Flex as a whole. We are located right here in Rosemont, Illinois, founded in 1988, so we've been in the business a little over 28 years, excuse me. We have roughly 75 employees locally, half dedicated towards the general agency side of our business, the other half towards our benefits administration. Within the GA organization, we represent multiple carrier contracts such as Aetna, Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and United Healthcare for group insurance, all of those for individual as well. And then we have a lot of ancillary carriers available to you, such as Dearborn National, The Standard, Principal Financial Group, Delta Dental, our newest contract with MetLife. We have exclusive sheet rates with VSP, make it very easy to add on additional lines of coverage. And all of our contracts here through Flex are true GA relationships, meaning 100% of commissions are paid directly from the carrier to you as the agent. So we don't take any part of the commission or bonuses or any other incentives that they have going on. Within our benefits administration side of the business, we can help with administering flexible spending accounts, health reimbursement arrangements, health savings accounts, federal COBRA administration. More recently, we've gotten into wrap documents. We found that a lot of our agents are looking for that support. Some had been losing business because they didn't have those within their groups. Obviously it can create some efficiencies when doing 5,500 filings for some of your larger clients. So it was a needed product that we got into and has been very successful and has helped a lot of agents control the other brokers trying to come in and steal the business because they're not doing it. So nice service that we could provide. Within our FSAs and HRAs, we do have debit cards available, even with the HSAs. CrossTech is a solution that Blue Cross offers we have access to that allows for automatic claims reimbursements, which we can then cut checks or direct deposit reimbursements to members in their bank accounts. Online benefits portals, a mobile application is now available, so a lot of technology applications that you can utilize to know where your monies are at any time throughout the day. We'll provide educational and enrollment resources within these products, so it's built into the pricing, so we can come out and do a 2-hour meeting and help with employees, comprehension of the different programs and how they work and, the tax advantages inherent within those. We'll support the implementation, claims, and the full service staff to basically back that up throughout the year with any questions that might come up. We are one of Blue Cross and Blue Shield's, actually HCSC, which is Healthcare Service Corporation. We are one of their vendor partners for HSAs. You'll find us on the BPS if you're selecting an HSA plan, as Flex HSA, as well as in the retail shopping cart for individuals purchasing an application. We have some significant enhancements coming very soon for our FSA and HRA products, so stay tuned for that. It's going to make doing business a lot easier, more efficient, and overall more cost effective. So before we kind of jump into what services we can offer to our agents to help you grow your business, I want to take a quick look at where we're at today within our marketplace. And where we're at is there's still a ton of opportunity for all of our agents, and there's opportunity in a few different areas. Medicare, for instance, the opportunities production has increased over 20% year over year. I think the figure is somewhere around 12,000 people are aging 65. So there's just a ton of opportunity there. If you don't work in that area, it's definitely an area of growth that you can get into, before everything blows up in regards to, everyone being in that particular marketplace or oversaturating that market. Open enrollment for small groups, especially this open enrollment for January, was crazy. If any of you were involved with that in the group markets, we did about 3.5 times what we had done in the prior year. That's after all the carriers staffed up knowing it was going to be crazy, and once again, it was a challenging time for most that were in the business, but it was also lucrative at the same time. Open enrollment is still going to be a significant opportunity in the individual market for any of those of you on this call that basically have participated mainly in that individual area. Obviously, there's been changes as we go throughout the year within that market, but there's still an opportunity come open enrollment. So it's important that, potentially if that was your primary market, throughout the middle of this year, you can kind of transition with our support into some of these other avenues, whether that be Medicare or obviously the group market space. Medicare is probably a pretty easy transition for those that were working in the individual market, but we provide a lot of services that we'll talk about that can kind of support you in your growth in that area. The commissions, obviously individual commissions right now during the special enrollment period are not available. Many agents are still writing the policies. Some are, potentially charging a service fee to support the enrollment into an individual policy mid-year. Some are doing it in the hopes that, obviously there'll be residual commissions come renewal time when the policies are renewed. But generally speaking, the commissions were around 6% of total premium. Some carriers did have graded commission schedules based on the number of policies sold. So to get to like the highest tier, you had to sell about 20 policies for the year, or through that open enrollment period, which for many of you was not a difficult challenge during that crazy period of time. With the Medicare commissions, this is where we see a lot of growth from an agent's perspective, and the residual commissions are significant year over year because these policies stay on the books longer than any individual policy or group policies out there. But Medicare Advantage programs, your first year commission is $429, and then renewal commissions average about $215 for every year after that. And I don't remember the actual statistic, but most of those policies will stay on the books for 10 years. So you continue to grow that book of business, it creates a very nice residual commission for you throughout the year. For Medicare supplement programs, the first year average commission is about $200, and it will vary by carrier what the renewals would be. Most of them are around that $200 mark, but some will vary carrier to carrier. For your PDP plans or the prescription drug plans, first year commissions roughly $63. Renewal commissions are at $32. Obviously, you're not going to break the bank with those, but if you are going to get involved with Medicare, you need to be able to support all areas of the Medicare enrollment. So Med Advantage, Medicare supplements, as well as the prescription drug plans. In regards to group commissions, a lot of opportunity out there, obviously, within the group market. It will vary from carrier to carrier. Generally speaking, they pay a per head fee per employee. Some carriers will vary the commission based on whether or not you're including dependents. But on average, the employee rate per month is about $30. Some carriers are doing some special bonuses here and there, so there's some very big opportunities out there in the small group market space, which really is where the majority of the groups are within Illinois here. Large groups, it does vary. It can be a flat percentage based on premium. It could also be the same as small group, so you could have a flat dollar amount per employee per month. For those that have a percentage based, it typically, depending on the size of the group, is going to average out about a 4% commission per year based on the annualized premium. Bonuses, as I mentioned, are going to be available with all the carriers. A lot of bonuses available in the ancillary sales market. Many carriers are doing bonuses for new products they launch. We'll talk about some of those, like level funded type programs, which are gaining in popularity. They are complex, but a great option for the right groups, and something that you should all be aware of if you're going to be working within the group markets or expanding your horizon into the group area. So taking a quick look at the individual insurance market, obviously it's always changing, but guarantee issue, as we know it, has resulted in carriers taking a ton of bad risk. Some of the carriers like Blue Cross, for instance, they said they lost $1 trillion in the last 2 years because of $1 billion in the last 2 years because of the business that they were required to take on. So many changes had to happen, and one way to control that cost is to control the networks, as well as to control the care. So making more of a market shift towards HMO type products or managed care type products. Was not well received in the marketplace, that's for sure. A lot of challenges for brokers, especially when the majority of your business was with that full network PPO and Blue Cross. But other carriers were there to pick up the pieces. Some of the unknowns obviously are going to be how those other carriers that picked up the pieces are going to run with that business as well. So there's going to be continued shuffle with those individuals that are looking for a large network, want to have access to those teaching hospitals, so it'll continue to be an area that will change. And we expect that there will be commissions payable at open enrollment. So the open enrollment period generally is going to start in November and run through the end of January. Special enrollment after that. Really in the special enrollment period, you do have to strategize on whether or not you're going to be all in, in the hopes that commissions will be payable upon open enrollment for any of those renewal policies, because you do get tied to that case or that individual as the broker, or if you're going to shift your market, if you're going to be looking more towards the Medicare area and growing into that market space. So looking at Medicare, really this is where we see some significant growth. There are a ton of people aging in. The largest potential growth market that we see really is in that Medicare area because of the baby boomers. You've got a significant population that's aging into Medicare age. There's a ton of changes within the group market space actually for retiree coverage. Many large organizations are actually dropping their retiree coverage and sending people off to Medicare. Obviously that is that's a big change for a lot of people, especially when you talk about who's aging into those programs. Many of them have been given their policy every single year through their employer. You start at birth, you have your parents' plan, you start working, you have your employer's plan, and then you age into Medicare, and all of a sudden you're on your own. So there's definitely a need for support from agents in that particular market. You've got a lot of wealth. The majority of the wealth is held by those individuals aging into 65, and planning for the retirement is a big part of that financial planning. So it's important to be partnered with someone that really knows how to control the costs, since many of those individuals may be dealing with set incomes that are not going to fluctuate throughout the rest of their life. And like I mentioned, ton of confusion in that market space and a very strong need for agent support. So just some facts for you to kind of illustrate how this is really going to continue to grow in popularity for agents and what you're going to sell. In 2011, 77 million members of the baby boom generation began turning 65. And, really that equates to about 12,000 people a day for the next 10 years, which means it's like every 7 seconds someone's turning 65. So there's a huge opportunity out there year-round as people turn 65. The Medicare eligible population is going to continue to grow, and it's estimated by 2020 that 1 out of 5 Americans will actually be 65 years or older. And they say that seniors control nearly 75% of the wealth here in the U.S. with a staggering $7 trillion. So there's a lot of money there that they have to obviously to manage. Now, when we talk about this growing in popularity for agents, people that are moving into that Medicare market, there's really one agent for every 185 Medicare supplements that are sold. There's one agent for every 2,250 Part D plans, your PDPs. And there's one agent for every 4,090 Med Advantage plans. Med Advantage plans are very popular. Many of them come with a $0 premium. And it's strange here in Illinois because the market typically is more Med Advantage to supplements. But because Blue Cross dominates the state of Illinois and they didn't offer a Medicare Advantage plan in the past, many people would leave their group product, which was most likely with Blue Cross, and they would transition to a Blue Cross Medicare program, and the only ones that were available were supplements. So Illinois is really a complete flip-flop of every other state in the market. More people are on Med Advantage plans outside of Illinois than they are here. So it's It's gaining in traction. Blue Cross now has a policy. Medicare Advantage is great for people on set incomes because of the no premium, and it covers a ton. So there's a really, the reason I think that many don't jump into that marketplace is because of some of the certifications that are required to sell the Medicare Advantage. But you can make more money and your policy stays in the books longer, so it's really worth going through that certification. 1.9 million Medicare beneficiaries are located right here in Illinois, and 1.1 of those are in the Chicago metro area, so a ton of opportunity there. There are 420 people turning 65 in Illinois every single day, and 212 of those are right here in our backyard. 29% of the population is enrolled in a MedSup, and 15% of the population is enrolled in the Medicare Advantage here in Illinois. As I mentioned, outside of the state of Illinois, it's completely flip-flopped. If you are an agent looking to get into the Medicare market, we do have a set course that can kind of support you along the way, educate you on the programs, teach you how to fish, et cetera, et cetera. In order to sell Medicare, you do have to be health and life licensed, which I believe many of you are. You do need to get contracted directly with the insurance companies. We can support the Blue Cross and Blue Shield programs, United Healthcare, and Mutual of Omaha here at Flex. You would take the AHIP course and the exam in order to get certified. And then there's specific carrier certifications as well, one for Blue Cross and one for United Healthcare. The Flex training courses that we support brokers with, and some of these presentations you can actually take out to the market and educate individual consumers at educational events, which we train you on how to do that. There's a presentation on the ABCDs of Medicare. Get it? Part A, Part B, Part C, Part D. We'll educate you on all of that and how that works, what part goes towards hospital, doctors, any deductibles, donut holes, so really just the basics of Medicare, which you can actually take into the marketplace and repurpose and start fishing. If you're new to Medicare, now what? So you've gotten in the business, now what do I do? How and why to sell Medicare, we'll focus on that. We have some different marketing workshops, so really figuring out how do I get to that populace that we mentioned in the previous slides. It's fairly easy, and people have jumped in, done a couple presentations, and gotten involved with groups immediately. Business planning workshops, I think, are very important. We do like a 4-hour workshop here at our office at Flex, and kind of walk through how to set goals, how to prioritize your time, how to identify what you do very well. If any of you are familiar with SWOT analysis, what are your threats, and focus on using your strengths to overcome those threats and create opportunity. Low-income subsidy programs are also important. That creates an opportunity to change plans monthly throughout the year for those that would qualify. Many are unfamiliar with that program, and another way to help grow revenue within your agency. We do provide one-on-one coaching, so you can actually reach out to either Larry Kassman or Joe Gladys here in our office. They will go on appointments. They'll do your first local area marketing event, so you can kind of see how it works, how to do it, and how to replicate it so that you can be successful. Different sales events as well, and then focusing on the low-income subsidy. If you wanted to do some more, one-on-one time with them, they can support those growth areas. As I mentioned, we'll help with setting goals. We'll help with a business review, taking a look at your book of business, seeing how we can diversify it, and then we'll support you along the way from any of the submissions that you have and tracking those policy sales. So we want to bring the full approach from start to finish so that you can help grow within this particular market space. Changing gears a little bit, looking at the group insurance market space. As I mentioned, we did about 3.5 times the business and open enrollment this year than we did in the previous year. By far, one of the busiest years we've gone through, especially since 2014 on the group side. But as we see it today, most Americans, I would say, look to their employer for their insurance benefits. They want their employer to pick it. They trust them. They may even pick a particular position over another because of the benefits that are being offered. And many businesses want to ensure that profitability by offering the best plans that they can. By doing so, they really look towards a broker. a trusted advisor that's going to guide them to help with market analysis. What are my peers doing versus what am I offering? Why am I not attracting the best candidates? How do I put in a better health plan without costing my business more money? Those are challenges. We don't always have a silver bullet to help with that. But there are new products in the marketplace right now combating some of the ACA regulations, especially in the small group market space that I mentioned, that you can offer to your clients. For example, the level funded programs I mentioned earlier, that is really a way to avoid the age rates. It does require underwriting. It's not a perfect fit for all groups, but it is something new and can open doors for you. So as far as offering a total package, you're not in the group market space. It's important that you don't only talk about the medical insurance. And I've worked with agents in the past that's all they do. They don't want to touch the ancillary, and it's kind of left in a back door for other agents to come in and steal that business over the years because they've chosen not to really diversify into the ancillary market. We have a ton of different training strategies and sales strategies that we can utilize to open doors for you. Some quick examples I would give are, utilizing the tax advantage accounts that are in the marketplace. I mentioned that, Flex is a TPA. We do support the Benefits Administration for flexible spending accounts and utilizing a health reimbursement arrangement to offset some of the deductible costs and lower premiums. A lot of different things that we can help you with, new sales concepts, as I mentioned, that can really help your growth in the group market space as well. Many of you may have relationships, family, friends, that really respect your expertise. We are your back house support. We're going to make sure that you have the information you need to sell successfully in the marketplace. Cross-selling is easier than finding a new piece of business. So many times we educate brokers at renewal time to look to add those additional ancillary lines. Some employers are struggling to even offer the medical plan they have today and will terminate the ancillary products as opposed to just flipping them to a voluntary type program. We can support with some of those sales strategies so that you can keep that business on the books with them and not cause any additional costs to the employer. Looking at some of the advantages of getting into the group marketplace, especially in the under 50 market, so the small group, there are a lot of competitive residual commissions, and we'll pay throughout the year. You can market throughout the year. You can write a group at any point in the year. In addition to that, if you had solely worked potentially in the individual marketplace, obviously going to a group is how you find your individual. Selling to a group is how you fish for multiple policies in one sitting. Offering the voluntary lines of coverage, as I mentioned, can increase your overall revenue. That's just another way to touch those individuals within a group. Utilize a hot prospecting list. Potentially you have those relationships already in the business that you can utilize to cross-sell and do those types of things. We're going to provide all of our agents that contract through Flex for these products free sales and service support to help you get going. We have a full dedicated service team that's going to help with any cases that we sell together. They're going to support things like answering day-to-day type questions, billing issues. We've created a ton of online support for you, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But we try to make everything available at your fingertips. We have multiple sales reps here at our office for the group marketplace. They will come with you out to your client and help with a finalist presentation to really help win that business for you. So taking a look at how to get involved with Flex, especially for the group sales. Obviously, health and life license is important. You got to have that. We can support you with your carrier contracting. Some carriers may contract individual and group together, so you may have already contracted for them. United Healthcare does it separately, but Aetna and Blue Cross, I believe, do it together. The ancillary carriers, generally, you'll do your contracting upon your first policy sale, but we can start quoting any of those carriers immediately. Looking at the different courses, as I mentioned, that we can support your growth in the group marketplace, We will focus on specific carriers and within specific products of those carriers, if that's the level funded type programs I mentioned. We will focus on different sales strategies. We do have an upcoming webinar I'll mention here at the end of the presentation for United Healthcare and how to strategize sales with them. Cross-selling to grow revenue. Obviously, that's a 101 for many agents as some of the commissions have changed. Still a great opportunity out there, but growing that revenue through other policy sales is important. Utilizing tax advantage accounts, really looking at cafeteria plans. I read a statistic in the Kaiser Family Foundation study that very small percentage of the groups that have less than 300 employees currently have cafeteria plans. And I guarantee you almost all of them are pre-taxing their benefits. They just don't realize they need to have a cafeteria plan, or others call it a premium-only plan, to pre-tax those benefits. So that's a nice way to kind of have a compliance-type conversation with someone, offer free compliance auditing and take a look at their business. Do they have a wrap document, those kind of things. So really looking outside the box to kind of walk, fine line into that business and provide a service to that employer client. We do have ethics training here at our office. We do it once a year. It should be coming up here towards the beginning of the third quarter, maybe towards the end of the second quarter, so that you can get your in-class ethics training to maintain your license. We do that annually. Business and marketing workshops, similar to the Medicare that I mentioned, but we create a way for you to kind of identify how to get going, how to set your goals, different ways to get to the clients, suggestions on how to network yourself, things like that. Very helpful. We get a lot of good feedback from that program. Lastly, within the group market space, healthcare reform is a needed information highway, if you will. Everyone tries to get as much information on healthcare reform as possible, whether that be from, who has to offer pay or play penalties, any reporting requirements. Do I have to file? Do I not file? Does the carrier do it for me? So a ton of questions like that. If you visit our website at flexiblebenefit.com and scroll down to the very bottom on the right-hand side, there is a link to healthcare reform. We put a ton of blogs in there. There's a lot of information, quick videos that you can reference in regards to some of the topics I just mentioned. I would definitely point you in that direction. If you're going to get involved with the group, watch those videos, do some education, some reading, etc. We'll also provide the one-on-one coaching, so you can reach out to our sales team. We'll help with appointments. We'll help with educational events or sales events if you can set that up with a bunch of small businesses. We can come in and do a healthcare education training, things like that. Always happy to help our agents in that regard, because obviously that helps you generate new clients, and we'll support you with those sales. We'll focus on goal setting, looking at your book of business, seeing how you can diversify, make suggestions for you, where you do business now and where you could be doing business. We have a full new business team to take in your submissions. We basically scrub everything in one sitting, give you a list of any missing information, so the back and forth is limited between yourself and the group. We'll track it. Our sales team stays on top of all these submissions. We will call until we get you a welcome letter. I know that's very important to get things done. Much of that is, setting the right expectations for your clients. So when we submit business with you, we try to outline exactly what the turnaround times are going to be for each step in that sales process, so there's no unknowns. And we can also stick to those timelines and set the right expectations for your clients. Makes that transition a much easier process and makes you a more professional agent in the marketplace. So taking a look at some of the final thoughts, obviously Flex is here to support you in your growth, whether that be mentoring, motivating, coaching. There are a ton of different things that we can do to help you out. I would welcome you to reach out to your sales reps, set up an appointment, pick their brain. They're there to help you. We'll support you through your business planning. We'll help you with organizing your sales goals, develop that marketing strategy. I think that's important. What's worked and what hasn't worked for a lot of our agents. We get that feedback quite a bit, so it's we can share that with you. Do that through the one-on-one coaching. Pinpoint your strengths and weaknesses, optimize your outreach tactics. A lot of different ways we can support. Obviously, the education is key, training, how to sell it, how do the products work, what do I need to be aware of, what speed bumps am I going to have. We're going to bring all that to really a consultative sales approach for you as an agent. Just getting some feedback from some of our agents that have done business with us for years. David from Park Ridge said, Flex is our most valued resource. They are trustworthy, professional, friendly, knowledgeable, timely, and helpful. Flex is a must-have partner in the ever-changing health insurance environment. And then Eileen says, in all honesty, I cannot imagine navigating these current challenges of our industry without the partnership of Flex. Flex allows me to do my job with more professionalism and confidence. I personally work with both of these individuals. They are very good at what they do. Both of them have worked with us for quite a while. And it's nice to hear these things, that the services that we provide are well received and have helped people become successful in their areas of expertise. So looking ahead, obviously, if you need to contact us, our main line, 847-699-6900. You can request to speak with a Medicare or individual sales consultant or with a group sales consultant, or you can email marketing@flexiblebenefit.com, and they will have someone reach out to you regarding what you would like to talk about. Stay informed and connected. We have some upcoming events, as I mentioned. We have a Medicare business planning and lead generation workshop, so that's here at our office. You can register online at flexiblebenefit.com. When you click on the producers link, there's a resources tab, and then there's a Flex University link for all of our upcoming events that we have that you can register for and get involved with those new opportunities and areas of growth within your business. Feel free to follow us. We have our blog online that really launches all the newer issues that are in the marketplace, Facebook, LinkedIn, you name it. We got a ton of YouTube videos out there to support you with different sales, Twitter and Google+. So a lot of options to stay informed, stay connected, and learn more about these marketplaces. So I would welcome you to do that. That being said, I'd like to open it up with any questions. You can type your questions on the chat function on the right-hand side of the screen or the chat function at the top for any questions. So I'll give you a second to type those in, and I'll address any questions you have. All right, looks like we don't have any questions today, but I want to thank you all for joining us and reiterate our really desire to work with you and support you and your growth so that we can all work well together. I think there's a ton of opportunity out there for all of us, and I think that Flex is perfect to help you fish and find those opportunities, capitalize on them, and grow your business in 2016. So thank you once again for joining me, and we look forward to working with you soon.